So, welcome to the Pink Sock Podcast. I am the host. We've got Tony over here. We've got Garak Attack right there. How you doing, Garak?
I'm doing well, my friends. Hello, everybody in
Oh,
the chat room.
everybody in the chat, I think, is doing all right. We've got Kanak in the chat. We've got whoever this Garak guy is. We've got Renee. We've got Anders. We've got Kanak again. We've got a loaded chat today, and we do have a lovely guest, Acey Slade. He's running a little late, but that's perfectly fine because we have some announcements to make. Next week, we do have Zach Balante. Is that how you pronounce his name? Of
I
of
think so. I'll
Death
just call him
Comes Lifting.
Zach.
Zach Balante. That's a good wrestler name you said before we went live. Zach Balante.
Yeah.
He does that Balante bomb through the table on fire. He dives off with the power bomb.
I'll be his manager.
Yeah, you'll be his manager. You'd be. Remember back in the '90s when they had a guy by the name of Gilbert wrestling? He was a imitation of Goldberg. You're going to be the Rock. You're going to be the Rock version of that. You're going to be Garak. You're going to come out. And you're going to say, like, yeah, with your chest all fucking puffed out like a madman.
Yeah.
So you're kissing real good ass. You got your cat fight shirt on, I see.
I'm not kissing ass. I just like this shirt.
You're not supposed to wear a shirt of a band that you're going to see. That's a rule. That's the unwritten rule of the road. What does people in the chat think? Should you wear a shirt of a band you're seeing? What do you think, Tony? If you're going to go see a band, do you wear the band that you're seeing shirt that you just bought?
That I just bought?
Or is that too tacky?
Like at the merch booth?
Yeah, people do that shit.
I mean, that's kind of like rednecks going to Walmart and buying clothes and wearing them out of the store.
But do you wear a shirt of the band you're seeing?
If I don't have a shirt to begin with, maybe.
Because, like, people know who you're there for. They're at the same fucking show.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know. Some people say that.
But you know what I hate, though? I hate people that buy band shirts and puts it over the top of the long sleeve shirts or other shirts, and they wear it. And
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When they first buy it from the merch. Yeah.
I don't do that.
A lot of people argue that, like, seeing a band is like going to a sports game. You support your team. No, it's different.
I wear whatever the fuck I want. Like,
I do too, but I don't typically, like, it's just out of mind type thing. I never wear the shirt of the band I'm seeing.
Mm-mm.
It's just the way my mind works. My mind never does it.
Normally, what I do is if, like, I go to see a band on a tour, I get the tour shirt with all the bands on it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, we've got joining us. We have the Nutella eater himself, the king of Slade, not the British band Slade, the other Slade. We have Catfight Coffee founder Acey Slade. What's up, Nutella eater?
The Nutella eater is here.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good. How you doing, brother?
Good. It's it's a beautiful day here on the East Coast. Where's everybody at?
I'm over in Arizona.
Okay.
I would assume Tony's also in Arizona since he is next to me.
The state of mind, though, right?
Yeah, right. And Garak, you already know he's from down under, where every animal down under is trying to kill you. That's exactly. So, what's new in the world of Acey Slade?
Well, so first of all, I wanted to apologize for missing the previously scheduled episode. But what's new? The reason I missed it, and because I totally screwed the pooch with you guys, I'm not telling anybody what it was that I had to do that had me tied up, except for you guys. So I'm revealing it here, and it's not a huge deal. But basically, I was an extra on a TV show called Russian Doll. You guys know that show?
No, I've not heard of it.
It's a Netflix show with Natasha Lyonne from Orange is the New Black and American Pie.
Oh.
And the first season was really, really interesting. Like, the first couple episodes, and this is of the first season. So now we're filming the second season now. So the first season, if you go back and watch it, honestly, it gets off to a slow start because it's this whole concept of, those Russian dolls where it's a doll inside a doll inside a doll inside a doll.
Yeah.
And this whole concept is it's a bit like Groundhog's Day, where every day Natasha Lyonne wakes up and it's the same day, and she has to figure out what it is that she needs to undo or do differently to break the cycle. So this is season 2, and at the last minute, I was an extra on one day, and then they decided to have me back for another day. I guess what I hadn't thought about is for continuity. The scene that I'm in, I'm on a subway train, and I didn't think about it, but the scene took longer than expected. For continuity, they need to have the same people on the train, so so they had to have me back. So that was why I couldn't do it. So, and that's something new that's going on in my life. So that was fun.
Was the continuity done before or after the hair dyeing? Because that'd be hilarious, seeing you with the head of black hair, and then you're on the train with blonde hair.
No, actually, what's funny is they had me in a Ramones style wig, which was pretty funny.
That is hilarious.
And they were having a hard time finding like authentic looking people, so they shot it one way and they teased my hair up like Robert Smith, and then they shot it another way, and I had this Ramones wig on, but. Then the Ramones wig, it was really funny. Like one of the people that's like part of the administration, I don't know, assistant director or whatever, they're like, this doesn't look punk rock enough. And it's like, dude, I look exactly like Johnny Ramone. Like you cannot, you can't get it any more right. I guess, sometimes
they want you to rock Liberty spikes or something. They want you to rock Liberty spikes or something,
right? You know what I mean? It was kind of like I guess in movies sometimes they need to leave a little to the not as much to the imagination, but yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
That's hilarious. You in a Ramones wig, like you either look like Johnny Ramone or you're gonna look like Paul Stanley, one or the other.
Yeah, right. Well, it was definitely Johnny Ramone. They nailed it. It looked fucking awesome, and it's funny because I'm friends with a couple guys who have that haircut. And I'm always like, man, that's a cool haircut. I'm like, I wonder if I could pull it off. And the girl who did the wigs, I mean, she's a professional, movie wig, hair, makeup person. And she fucking got it totally right. And I was like, wow, so this is what I'd look like with that haircut. And I could pull it off, but I don't think I'd want to do it though.
You could literally pull it off.
Could pull it off. Exactly.
So Kathy, who's part of the podcast, usually wanted to know your contributions to this lovely book.
Oh, that was a fun one. Actually, I was surprised. I'm in bands with a lot of people that are very witty and very quick on their feet, and I gotta say, I was kind of surprised how witty and on my feet I was in that book. Like I was like, I don't know, like a lot of guys kind of gave serious answers, and I'm like, well, did you guys not get what the title of the book is and what this is about? And,
sex tips from rock stars. Like,
yeah, nobody wants any serious answers here,
I was really impressed though, because when I saw that book, I decided to read it, and I'm like, since Acey's in it, I'll read it. And I'm like, of course he is. Lemmy Kilmister is in this fucking book.
Yeah. Lemmy was great in it. Lemmy was really good.
Did you get to meet all the people that was in the book, or were you all separate?
We were all separate. Yeah, it was done through. It was all done separately. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't like you got a bunch of dudes in a room together talking about sex.
I think that would be a perfect podcast idea.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe like it could be like the Dr. Ruth of rock and roll.
Dr. Ruth is freaking hilarious. I remember watching her on TV, this 90-year-old woman. She's like, this is where you put the penis. We actually had a woman on here that could have been Dr. Ruth, Lynn Ruth Miller.
Yeah.
Ever heard of her, Acey?
Who is it?
Lynn Ruth Miller. She's the oldest touring stand-up comedian.
No.
She's raunchy as hell.
Really?
She told this one joke. She's like, I'm going to run for president because by then I'll be old enough. And she's like, I heard Trump's going to run again. He can't grab me by the pussy. It drags on the floor.
Ah!
Folks, we have Acey Slade here. If you want to follow him on social media, I separated this so that people can follow you on both. We've got Acey Slade on Facebook at official Acey Slade. We also have him on Instagram at Acey Slade. We have him on Patreon at Acey Slade. And then your website, is it currently being worked on? Because I went to go on and it's not working.
Yeah, we're working on a new one right now. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we have Catfight Coffee on social media, which is at Catfight Coffee. And then they have a website, Catfight Coffee, which brings me to my next thing. You have new coffee coming out.
Yeah, we got a few of them actually. But
would you like to touch on that?
You're probably alluding to, since this is a music show, you're probably alluding to the Alice Cooper coffee, a fellow Arizona guy, like you guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I mean, God, I've been an Alice Cooper fan my entire life, and you know, to be able to tour with him when I was in Dope, and you know, even to this day, it's like bucket list moments in your life, like opening for Alice Cooper on Halloween in New York City. Man, that was awesome.
Does it get any better than that?
No, well, it does for me, but there's one better. Was playing my my hometown of Philadelphia.
That's always
with the Misfits on my birthday. That and that was exactly where I saw my first concert. So that was like this weird vortex thing I felt like I walked through. But yeah, Alice, I mean, he's been a big influence on me as a musician, as a lyricist, as a songwriter, as an entertainer, as a performer. And then the thing that's really cool about it too is that over time, the lineup that he has right now has been really consistent for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten to become friends with the band. So in fact, just this morning I was texting Nita Strauss, and you know, Nita and Ryan, and I mean the whole band are just great people, and they're a really good what's the word I want to use, example of how a band should function, kind of. Mm-hmm. Like they're all like kind of doing their own thing, but they all like work with each other, and I don't know, I have such respect for them as hired guns in a band still working together. It's a really cool dynamic.
It's one of the better lineups he's ever had because they work so well together. Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Like the only other era that I like as much as this current one is when Kane Roberts was in the band.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I like the original lineup. I mean that's it for me. But as far as after the original lineup, I would agree. That Kane Roberts lineup, I think, gets really overlooked a lot, unfortunately. I mean, Raise Your Fist and Yell was a great record. Constrictor was great.
Constrictor was his big like return after he had left music for a while.
Yeah. I was listening to Roses on White Lace the other day. What a great song that is.
I actually went and saw Alice a couple years ago with him, and Alice was performing that song for the first time in like years.
Roses on White Lace?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, because Nita was trying to get him to do the Kane Roberts era shit, and he finally caved in and was like, "We're doing Roses on White Lace."
Nice. I've heard that's one of the challenges to being in the band, though, is that Alice will just like one day walk in and be like, "Hey, do you guys know Halo of Flies? Like, you know, like why don't we play that tonight?" And the band would be like, "Alice, like, give us a day."
Yeah, I've noticed because Alice will have a different set list every night almost.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like when I went and saw another person that does that, I saw Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh wow, okay.
And he did this huge tour of like no parodies, all B-sides, all originals, and every night was a different set list.
Holy moly.
And I'm like, how the fuck do you prepare for that? Because there were times where he didn't have a break for a while. Like in tour. And I'm like, shit, that's a lot to remember.
Yeah, it's not like Metallica. They play the same shit for 30 years.
Yeah.
That is true.
But some bands like it that way, though, because it's easier that way. So I've got a question for you. You're a coffee guy. Are you familiar with Kupa Luwak coffee?
Oh, absolutely.
And have you tried it?
I sure have.
How is it?
It basically just tastes like coffee. And the other thing too is it's hard for me to discern if it really tastes much different because I never tried the coffee without it being shit out by the luwak. So I'd have to try it before the civet eats it and shits it out, and then I could compare the two. That's what they should have done at the cafe I was at. Should have been like, not non-pooped and pooped.
Since you are Catfight Coffee, you should have that. You should have pooped and non-pooped.
Right?
Coffee.
Right?
I can only imagine you sitting there like with a cat on your counter and fucking
right?
shit in this bucket. We need to make coffee.
Pooped is regular full strength coffee, and non-pooped is decaf.
You should do that, Acey. You should have non-pooped coffee. It's decaf.
I had entertained the idea of bringing in the civet, the luwak coffee into Catfight, but the problem is a lot of the companies now that they're marketing it, it's like the way it used to be was that the idea was that. So for those that don't know, right, a coffee bean, when it's growing, is kind of like a cherry. It's actually like a fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in places like Indonesia, you have these animals called civets, which are basically like a cross between a cat and a ferret, right? Mm-hmm. And they would just go around and they would eat these things because it's just fruit and they're just, woodland animals and they're just doing their thing. And so regardless of all that, when you get the coffee cherry, you need to remove the outside, the skin, the mucilage, all that stuff to get to the coffee bean. Mm-hmm. So the coffee bean is like the stone of a cherry, right? So you need to remove it. Usually they use water, or sometimes they lay it out in the sun and they let it kind of turn to dust, and then they clean it again. But somebody back in the day was like, hey, well, when the civet eats it and they poop it out, it's whole, and then we don't got to wash it off with water or leave it out in the sun.
That's fucking laziness.
Well, but the idea was that they gave it to kings, apparently. So it was like a royal thing. So I don't know. I think that's a bit more like trying to trick somebody. Like, hey, dude, try this coffee. Yeah, civet shit it out.
I was waiting for you to say that you had like an Austin Powers moment. This coffee tastes like shit. And did you know that there is another animal coffee that they make called Black Ivory? Ever heard of that shit? I'm
not sure that I have.
It's an elephant.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's a big fucking coffee.
Wow.
I would not want to have to root around in elephant shit for coffee.
No.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
I'll stick to the conventional process. Thank you.
But with that Koopa Kulak being so expensive, that probably wouldn't be worth it.
And that's the other thing too. Yeah, it's like, well, so the thing is that as it's becoming commercialized, what they're doing is they're rounding up the civets, they're rounding up the luwaks, and they're putting them in cages, and then they're just like caging them and just feeding them the coffee beans, and they're kind of, it's not very humanitarian to the civets. So that's part of it, and yes, it's expensive to import. So. You're
worrying about being humanitarian towards the animals, which is understandable, but you're also drinking cat shit. I think it's kind of a sanitary issue too.
And then there's that. Exactly.
I'm gonna make human shit coffee.
Oh god.
Oh boy.
So I was on your website, and you have tea. Do you plan on releasing any other types of tea for the tea drinkers?
Possibly. Right at the moment we have the Alice Cooper one coming out shortly. We also have a new Night of the Living Dead coffee coming out. We have a Bali coffee, which is from a plantation where I actually planted the trees, which is pretty cool. We've got an anniversary blend coming out, and then we also have a new medium roast Colombian coffee that is so good. And in fact, it has a little bit of like a tea taste to it. it's still coffee. Like it's not nothing weird like making a tea leaf, eat it and shit it out to give it a tea taste. Nothing like that. It just naturally has a little bit of a black tea taste to it. So, and yes, Renee, it is a chai tea, and it's a concentrate. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. It's great if you mix it with almond milk, or you can mix it with hot water to make a hot tea, or you can mix it with cold water. It's great. Yeah, Ed Roman, the Bali was awesome. So we're putting that back out.
With you having this coffee company and you are in all these bands, how the hell do you find time in a day to do all this shit?
Well, coffee keeps me up, man. I don't sleep.
So do you drink it or do you snort it off your counter?
Mainline it. I smoke it.
So you've played with like Joan Jett, you've played with Misfits, Dope. Do you prefer the smaller venues or do you prefer the big stages? Because I know you played at Madison Square Garden before.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a funny thing because I remember when I was a kid, reading an interview with, I think it was Nikki Sixx, where they were talking about he was talking about like, oh, you know, I like playing smaller places better than the big arenas. And as a kid, I was like, well, how can you even compare that? Like that doesn't, like obviously the arena would be a bigger adrenaline rush, but what ends up happening when you do the arenas is that you're so far away from the crowd that there's almost like this distance between you and the crowd. Like if you're playing a club or if you're playing a smaller venue, you can fucking, you know, shake somebody's hand, you know, hand them a guitar pick. They're right there, you know. But
it's more personal.
I'd have to like walk off the stage, get past security, go all the way down. So there does become this disconnect a little bit. And, you know, there's nothing like a sweaty, full club full of people losing their freaking minds.
What's also crazy about the stadium shows is Rob Zombie actually got in trouble for going into the crowd. I don't know if you heard about this or not.
Oh, no.
Somebody grabbed him and he ended up hitting him.
Yeah.
And due to his contract stating that he is protected when he is on the stage, when he leaves the stage, he's not protected anymore.
Oh.
It's in his contract with the studio company, so he had to pay out of pocket the person's medical bills.
Ooh.
So, yeah, but he still goes to the crowd. He doesn't give a shit. He has...
he probably changed his contract after that. You know?
Probably. So we did talk about this on your live stream in the chat, but the new Munsters movie, what's your thoughts on that shit?
Well, I mean, that's going to be a tough one to. I mean, everybody who was cast for their roles was so perfect. I mean, Fred Gwynne was great. You know, Grandpa Munster was great. You know.
I find it weird. Sherry Moon Zombie. I knew she was going to be in it, but Sherry Moon Zombie plays Lily Munster.
Yeah, she should be Marilyn,
right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is they should actually do an Adam Sandler, Adam's Family, but with Danny DeVito playing Uncle Fester.
That would be great. But it is funny how it's like certain franchises. It's like you can't, you know. Hey, look. It's easy for us to say, hey, man, you know, the original lineup with Fred Gwynne and Grandpa Munster and everybody was just so perfect in the cast for that. But, you know, I also did a thing on Cafe Coffee the other day where it was, which is better, Batman Returns or The Dark Knight? And when you look at the casting for both of those, I mean, oh, my God. It's like you've got Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Keaton in one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, you got Heath Ledger, Christian Bale, and God, I forget who else was in that, but they were such heavy duty actors. So, you know, I got faith. I think Rob Zombie can do it.
I'd like to see Rob Zombie do Season of the Witch. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
I'd love for that to happen, but don't name it a Halloween movie. Just call it Season of the Witch.
Yeah, there you go. That's
because his take would be fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like killer. So you've been in Dope. You've been with Wednesday. What is Wednesday like, by the way?
Oh, I love that guy, man. I love that guy.
He seems like a really cool fucking guy.
He is, you know, and it's funny because when I talk about like witty, on your feet, frontmen, you know, Wednesday's right up there. Like his interviews just always crack me up. He just always has something witty and off the cuff and unexpected to say. You know, it's funny how some interviews, it's like you could tell when somebody's going through the motions, and it's true of the reporter or the interviewer too. You know, so you have a new album out. Tell us about it. Okay, well, the album came out 6 months ago, but here we go. We recorded it in Chicago. Oh, what was recording in Chicago like? Like, it's like you could tell when it's one of those, you know. And Wednesday was always great at turning it around and answering the same question a million different ways. So yeah, he's great.
I don't like planning like that because it's always the same fucking interview. Yeah. Like back when like Ozzy Osbourne got robbed many years ago, every interviewer every week was like, "So you got robbed?" He's like, "Oh, this fucking question again," and then he explained it like that.
Yeah, and so guess what? You're not getting the exclusive on it. It's already been out there.
Right. It's hard to get an exclusive anymore because everyone asks the same goddamn question.
Well, you guys got it from me, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what Pink Sock's all about.
Yo, check this out too, right? Just to mark the occasion today.
Mm-hmm. He's wearing pink socks.
I'm not wearing pink socks because I couldn't find any, but I did wear Stranger Things socks.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And if you notice, I'm wearing my aluminum tinfoil Converse as well.
That's fucking badass. Do you know, speaking of sex, the whole sex tips thing, do you know what a pink sock is?
Oh, well, no, but now I think I might know.
Well, when somebody performs an anal sex without lubrication too much, it will turn inside out and resemble a pink sock.
Oh, okay. Now I know.
Yeah. Have you seen one in person? Have you seen one?
You know, I'll tell you this. I haven't, but I've seen somebody sent a video of a weightlifter who was trying to overlift. Ooh. And Gorak, you should pay attention to this, buddy. So he was trying to do a squat and he blew out his rectum, which apparently you can do.
He got a pink sock.
Yes, damn. He pink socked himself.
Gorak, be careful lifting. You might shit your own asshole out.
Yeah. And I've tried to find that video again, and I can't find it. But if anybody is out there and they're looking for that video and you find it, don't send it to me, please.
I had a video sent to me by, I'm going to call him out on this, Mike Fasano, who plays drums for Tiger Army. He sent me this video of this guy fucking this woman at a train stop or a bus stop, and then this guy on a bike comes up and starts yelling at him, and the guy leaves. The more you watch this video, the more you notice the guy's missing an arm. The guy that came up and yelled at him is actually her husband. Like all kinds. Like the video gets worse every time you watch it.
Oh my god! I got a video of two people fucking at a dope show.
Was you there?
Well, it was when Static X was on, and I was just back hanging out, and it was at the Palladium in Worcester, and I'm just kind of hanging out, and I look, and I see these two people, and they're trying to do it on the sly, and she, you know, he's like behind her, and they're trying to act like they're like grooving, but they were definitely fucking. Absolutely.
Is that what Marilyn Manson meant by "We're all stars now at the dope show"?
Yes, so.
When was this?
This would have been. I keep feeling like I should say last year, but last year like didn't exist, so it would have been 2 years ago.
I think Loudwire made an article on it.
I was actually at one of those shows. I wonder if that was me. No.
Gentlemen, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 minute.
All right. He's going to go take a shit, ain't he? Let's get him off the screen for now. So, would you fuck at a dope show, Doof?
No.
Which song would
watch the show? If you can be later.
If you had to fuck at a dope show, he's back.
Sorry about that.
So they was fucking while he was backstage?
No. So I was out watching Static X from the audience, and so I was at the back, and the Palladium, like it's like to go to the bathroom, you have to go down a hallway, and then you make it's like a right angle to go into the back. So there's a hallway. They were in the corner, and they were standing up, and I was doing this old trick where you pretend like you're on your phone, but you're really recording them.
So Acey has revenge porn on his phone, is what he's saying.
And I got it, and I think they caught me, and they just went into the bathroom, and I guess they finished up in a stall.
Oh shit! Well, Static was on. That's classic.
Yeah.
What was the song? I'm with Stupid.
It might have been Love Dump.
They went into the bathroom and had a love dump.
They did. They did a blunky.
They did one of them Blumpkins.
Blumpkins, that's it.
It's the best of both worlds.
Depending on which end you're on.
Now that Acey knows why the show's named this, he's opening up more. So I saw this picture, and was you trying to go for the whole Star Wars Sith look, or?
No, that was accidental. Cool. That was accidental.
You look like a straight up Star Wars character.
I know, right?
You look like Kylo Ren, like younger Kylo Ren.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
So, do you have any like new music you're working on, or?
Dude, I'm working on a million things right now. But nobody knows exactly what's happening with the world. So honestly, right now for me is a more frustrating time than the peak of the pandemic in a way, because like we're coming out the other side of it, but we're still not quite there. So it's like, it's really hard. Like I'm the type of person who, like you said, I've got a million things going on. I play in a lot of bands, and for me to make everything work out, I need to prioritize, right? It's like, all right, well, this band doesn't have a show for 3 months, but this band has a show in 1 month. Then I got to work on the stuff for the band that has a show in 1 month, right? You know? And instead, like, because nobody knows what's going on and there's no real clear thing, but we do know that triggers are going to get pulled soon. Like, I have to make everything a priority right now to see what's going to happen, you know? And it's very frustrating. I can't wait to get the emails that say, all right, here's the itineraries. And I'm like, all right, cool. Now I can, you know, not focus on this and focus on that and play Tetris a little better, you know?
But when the pandemic ends, you're going to end up on like 5 different tours. And
well, you know how hard it's going to be to get tickets to stuff after it opens up?
Well,
everybody's going to be going.
Yeah. Well, or it could be the other way around. And that's sort of where it's at with a lot of some bands are concerned, right? So we were in this world where it was like everybody was on their touring cycles, and because everybody was going out and doing things at different times, your average, you know, local club could have like 1 or 2 metal or punk shows a week, and you only had to pick between, let's just say, you know, 5 to 8 metal and punk shows to see in a month, right?
Yeah.
Now everyone's going to be touring at the same time. So it's very possible that you're going to be in a situation where you have to pick between 15 metal bands a month, but nobody's any richer than they were before the pandemic. Ticket prices aren't going to be any cheaper. So that means that you risk the possibility of less people coming to your show. With less people coming to your show, that means promoters are going to try to get a better deal off of you that time or the next time. And now your guarantees are going down. And so a lot of people are like, well, we don't want to tour until 2022, 2023. And other people are like, no, for the first ones, we're going to fucking crush it. So.
Not to change the subject, but Chris Vickery wants to know if you are still enjoying your hearse.
Oh, hell yes, I am. Every time I ride that thing, it's a joy. Thank you, Chris.
So speaking of concerts coming back, Live Nation a while back, Slayer was doing this huge, like, calling them out on their bullshit because Live Nation was trying to add more fees for the musicians when the pandemic's over. If you cancel, like if the band cancels, they won't refund your money for the ticket. They're taking a cut of your merch sales.
They were wanting bands to pay back like double their guarantee if they canceled the show.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Like, that's not going to happen.
It's going to go back to the old days when the bands sell the tickets.
Dude, that would be amazing. I think, You know, it's funny. I'm not a big fan of their music, but Pearl Jam's tried to do a lot of that over the years, and has been pretty successful with it. You know, so
I give Eddie Vedder credit because that man, he could at a show and he doesn't have to sing nothing.
You know what it is? I figured out what my problem with Pearl Jam is. My problem with Pearl Jam isn't Pearl Jam. It's all the bands that sounded like Pearl Jam.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
Pearl Jam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Hootie and the Blowfish.
Or Candlebox.
Yeah. Have you seen Ted?
No.
There's a scene in that movie where Ted's singing and he's singing
like every '90s band ever, and then starts singing like Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, no, he was singing Hootie and the Blowfish, and he's like, any '90s song you can just add vowels, and he's like, A-I-O-U, and that's how it was. So, what's your Hearst story?
Well, the short version is that I had a hearse, and it was a piece of shit, and it died on me. Mm-hmm. And I had the vision of Catfight Coffee's company vehicle being a hearse, and what we did was we did a lottery, and I think I'm going to do another one actually. So what I did was a lottery. Mm-hmm. Instead of just selling some of my music equipment, which and this was at in deep pandemic mode, when everybody was getting hit with financial problems that they hadn't foreseen, I thought it would be cool if I did it as a lottery. So I sold lottery tickets to win the bass rather than just sell the bass outright, knowing full well that there's probably some fans of mine that normally would like to own it and just don't have the money at the time, and I didn't want them to miss out on the opportunity. And it really became this fun thing. I think it became way more fun than just selling it outright. And I was very transparent with everybody about how much was coming in and what type of vehicle we could afford for the different rates of where we were at. Like I did it as a thermometer with for $1,000 we're gonna get a whoopty of a hearse. For like $3,000 we'll get a pretty good one. For like $5,000 we'll get a very good one. And then like for up to $10,000, like $10,000, you can get like a 57 Cadillac that's, totally decked out. So it ended up being a total blast, and we had so much fun, and it was really, really cool. And I feel very grateful to everybody who took part in it, and everybody who took part in it. Whenever you see it, you better get your picture taken with it, because it's as much yours as it is mine, with the exception of that I take it home and you can't. So
I had a buddy, he actually had a hearse as a regular work vehicle, like he would drive to work in it, but this was a steaming pile of shit. It had no floor. It didn't have a floor. You had to put your feet up on the dash when you ride in it. It had only front brake. It only had like one front brake. Like
you could put your feet down and help stop Fred Flintstone style.
That'd be fucking perfect. So what's new in the world of Catfight? Do you have any live streams coming up? You do them Sundays, right?
Yeah, every Sunday we do Cattail Hour, where again we do like contests where we give away we give away different things every week. We also call it, there we go. I also have my cheat day, which has been really fun lately, because it started off as me having my cheat day and eating these nice pastries, and then it has evolved into me eating some really weird shit too. So that's been fun.
Have you seen some of the weird fucking candies? Tony showed me one yesterday. What was it? Peanut butter pickle Twinkie?
Yeah. I don't think that's real though.
It was a peanut butter pickle Twinkie. I don't know if it's real or not. But...
yeah, negative on that.
And then there was Jägermeister.
That's one of those Twinkies you give someone you hate.
Exactly.
There's this Jägermeister black coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually real.
Black
fucking gross.
Black licorice coffee.
Yeah, it's funny. I have mixed it. I kind of like black licorice, but black licorice and coffee, I don't know about that.
That's not a combination.
And it's a cold brew coffee too, so it's really, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I heard Coke really fucked the pooch on their new coffee flavored Coke, which
their new energy Coke or whatever they're doing is gross.
The coffee Coke is all right if you get the vanilla, but anything else, don't chance it.
Yeah, but think of it this way. At this point, you're adding 3 like levels of flavor to get it to taste right. Like it's like, okay, Coca-Cola on its own should taste okay. The coffee on its own should taste okay. If they're both good quality, you should be able to mix those and it'll taste pretty good. But they didn't. So they're like, well, let's dump a bunch of vanilla on top of it just to mask all the shitty taste. You know, it's like,
if you get through all of that, you might as well not make the shit.
Exactly. And they can make it good, man. I've added a shot of espresso to like Mexican Coke before. That's really good. There's a drink company that's been around forever called Manhattan Special, which do like a carbonated soda coffee beverage, which is amazing.
Yeah, pop and Coke could work, but it's just, I mean, coffee and Coke could work, but I wouldn't.
No.
Coffee and Coke in the 80s meant something completely different.
Absolutely.
Every time we go somewhere, Tony orders Coke, and they're like, "We don't have Coke." And he's like, "What kind of fucking place is this?" No.
You guys ever drink RC?
Yes, it's delicious. I love RC.
I think
Like,
RC
see,
is the best.
Every time I go to a restaurant, it's just like, oh, do you guys have Coke? Oh, Pepsi? I'm like, I do this weird thing where I'm like, Mountain Dew? And they're like, yeah, we got Mountain Dew. I was like, all right, I'll take that.
What's fucked up is I went to get him Mountain Dew one day in a drive-thru, and they're like, mellow yellow. I'm like, that's not the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And
here's one that'll really screw them up too. Because I get where you're going at with that. It's like certain brands are licensed or proprietary to other ones. So like Mountain Dew's Pepsi, or is Mountain Dew Coke?
Mountain Dew is a Pepsi product.
Okay, but Dr. Pepper is like
it's a Coke product.
Always trades. I feel like sometimes I feel like it's Pepsi though.
It goes either way, because I've seen it at Burger King where they have nothing but Coke products, and I've seen it in places where they have Pepsi too.
Exactly.
So it's weird.
I like Dr. Pepper.
That's like the only one that does that I've noticed.
I don't think restaurants want to have Mr. Pibb, so they just go to Dr. Pepper.
I mean, Chipotle does.
Yeah, but if you get the shits, you don't want too much of regular pop. That'll fuck your day right up. So you said that you opened for Alice. Is there any bands that you'd love to open for that you haven't yet?
Never did any shows with Iggy Pop.
Oh, that'd be fucking killer.
Speaking of pop, never did any shows with Iggy Pop. Yeah, he's one that's on the bucket list. I mean, after him, I can't really think of any. You know,
I have a buddy that went and saw Iggy Pop like a few years ago, and that dude's in his 70s and he's still wild as fuck. Like, my buddy said he went and saw him and he climbed 40 feet up the fucking stage curtain and was singing. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, Iggy's the man.
How's he lived this long?
Barely.
I saw this video of him stage diving like 4 years ago and nobody caught him.
Well, that's why his lip is all fucked up now, apparently.
Yeah, nobody caught him. I'm like, when the king of punk jumps off a fucking stage, you catch him.
And not only that, it's like the guy probably weighs like 100 pounds wet. Yeah. You know?
It's weird because he was like always in great shape, and then like he hit a certain age and everything just started sagging at once. It wasn't like slow. It wasn't slow progress.
I know.
It just hit all at once. I'm like, what the?
I think it was a combination of it happening, but also like cameras getting better, and like you know the resolution on cameras getting better, and photographers crushing the HDR to make it all look even worse. You know,
I heard an actor say one time, he's like, the worst thing that ever happened to an actor is better quality, because you're sitting there watching yourself and you see all of your pimples and shit on TV and blemishes.
Totally.
He's like, fuck that. He's like, take me back to the old days where it was grainy.
Totally.
So are you a fan of Rob Zombie's horror films? since we talked about
Well,
that?
House of a Thousand Corpses to me is amazing, and some of the best times of my life were around that movie and that DVD. And I'll tell you, it's a funny story. I don't know how or why, but I was living in New York, and I guess whoever lived in my apartment before me was a film reviewer. Okay, so you got to remember, House of a Thousand Corpses. This is 20 years ago, and this dude never changed his address, so I'd fucking open up the mail and I'd have all these DVDs of like movies that aren't even in theaters yet. So I had a copy of House of a Thousand Corpses on DVD before it was ever released. And in the Murderdolls, we watched that movie so many times. And just to be completely blunt, that was always our bait to get girls on the bus. That, hey, we got House of a Thousand Corpses on the bus. You want to watch it? It's not even in theaters yet. Oh, come on, I mean, not that we probably needed that, but that was certainly helpful. And then I'll never forget, like, I would wake up at like 4 a.m. and if you remember DVDs at the end, like after you would let it play, it would go on this loop. And this was just a loop of that a pussy licker, and I forget like a couple of sound bites from the movie, and it would just do that over and over, and everybody was drunk and passed out. I actually just fell asleep because I'm sober. And I would wake up and be like, fuck, I can't hear pussy liquor one more time. Jeez. It's just that one part. Dum dum ba dum 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 ba dum ba dum,
Pussy liquor.
Yes. And I'd be like, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody. I'm gonna hide the DVD.
So when people came on your bus, you're like, we have House of a Thousand Corpse, and in a couple of years we'll end up with Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Three from Hell, though? Have you seen it yet? Or
no, I haven't. I saw the last one I saw was Lord Salem, which I thought it had some great moments to it.
Bill Moseley has some of the best monologues in Three from Hell.
Yeah, Three from Hell is a good movie.
So good.
Once you look past the fact that Sid Haig was supposed to be a major role in it, but he was really sick.
Okay.
So he's in it for like a few seconds, but he has a really good line in that movie.
Well, the thing that I thought was interesting, I don't know if he switched directors of photography. I don't know if he switched DPs like halfway through. And both of them were great. But just as far as the continuity, like by the end of the movie, it's like the Stanley Kubrick movie, which is great. But it didn't start off like a Kubrick movie. Like it started off more like B-movie-ish type thing. And it just, to me, it was like kind of jarring how there all of a sudden there was this amazing, like, ultra cinematic visuals, but I was just in this place where it was cruddier and it was a little bit more like House of a Thousand Corpses, and just that kind of continuity. I was like, well, which movie is this? A serious movie, or is it like, it makes you think, was it a serious movie or not a serious movie? I can't really tell. That's
the thing I really like about especially early Rob Zombie works, is because he designed them to look like older horror movies.
Yeah.
And he actually explained it, because when we saw Three from Hell in theaters, and each night, it was in theaters for 3 nights, each night they had a special thing for the fans. And on our night, they had like a biography about the movie at the very end.
Oh, cool.
And Rob had to rewrite the script as they were filming because Sid Haig couldn't be in it.
Got it.
So he had to call a whole new actor to come in. And then he said that this was his second film that he didn't do on film, because he used to do all of his movies on the old-fashioned way with film.
Right.
And now he just records them the new way because film's expensive.
Sure.
And he just edits it to look old.
Yeah, sure.
Which I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant.
Well, it allows people to experiment.
What was that, Acey?
I said it allows people to experiment a lot more. I mean, think of it this way, dude. They used to set up shots for a movie on these $1 million. I mean, like, look at the Batman Beyond, for example. That set that they had to build, I can't even guess how much it cost to build that.
Right.
And they're filming it, and fuck, what if they got a bad roll with film and everything that day was wasted? You know what I mean?
Oh,
and now it with digital. It's like, all right, this is what it looks like. It's going good. Okay,
Yeah, that's like the old-fashioned way of recording music. That would have been annoying.
Yeah.
Because you end up losing shit. We do have questions from the fans, but before we do that, everyone listening, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and follow Acey on social media. Once again, I'm going to pop up his links here. His website's not up right now, but once it is, we will let everyone know. And you can also check out Catfight Coffee. That's all of their socials as well. And I'm going to get into the questions from the people, if you don't mind, Acey.
No, not at all.
Kathy Grant would like to know, you say you love the United Kingdom and have visited most places there. What is your favorite place in the UK, and can you do a British accent?
Well, so first of all, you know, I think that that's a trick question, because a British accent, like, are we talking about a North Yorkshire accent? We talking about a Cockney accent? That's too broad of a question, you know. So that's how deep I know, you know. Like, I mean,
just pick an
Yorkshire
accent.
You'd be like, "Hey, love, would you like a cup of cha?" I think that's a Yorkshire one.
Well, what's the other ones you can do?
Hello, Mike.
I can do a little bit
more Cockney, you know. But and then water, I mean, it could be what-a. What-a, you know. Have you seen that Disturbed thing where it's a bottle of water?
Yes, I have seen that.
But my favorite places in the UK, wow. You know, I really, it's hard to say, because it's really about the people. I love people in the UK. I do love Manchester. Yeah, Manchester's great.
That reminds me of a video. That reminds me of a video I saw of you and that guy fucking cussing you out at that show.
In the Witch's Well.
Yeah,
the Witch's Tunnel or whatever it was.
This guy's over here cussing out Acey, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he said, "I don't know." The video starts as it's already happening. What happened?
I don't remember. I think we were just like minding our own business and loading up the van, and this guy just started in with us.
Yeah, this guy's like cussing and yelling at him, and Acey's just letting him go. He's just sitting there like, "Oh yeah, you just said I'd shit my pants." It is the most. If anybody wants to see this video, just look up Acey Slade, and it'll pop up. It's one of the first videos.
Yes. Never mind all the other things I've done in my life, but this.
Yeah, getting cussed out by the UK man was hilarious.
Right. Yeah, but no, I love Edinburgh. I love Glasgow. I love. God, man, I mean, it's so much. It is one of my favorite places, and I know this might sound goofy, but it's really about the people. I just have so many friends there, and the crowds are so warm, and they love rock and roll, and they go off every time, and they're so supportive, and yeah, it's like I get along well. I mean, Sheffield, and it's the venues, man. I mean, Sheffield Corporation is such a great venue. The Underground in London, Stereo in is in Glasgow, right? Yeah.
I think.
I mean, there's just Bannerman's in Edinburgh. I mean, there are just so many legendary venues, and you know, it's so free of pretentiousness. If you've got a legendary venue in the States, like at the Whiskey,
yeah,
they know that they're legendary, and they let you know that they know, and it's like, get your stuff in, get it out, that's it. You know, like and it's
fuck
not that.
That's not how rock and roll should be.
No.
Rock and metal is very much alive when it comes to being overseas and shit.
Well, but you know, you hit a nail on the head. It's because they're built when you are warm to someone, and when you're embracing to someone, you're gonna build a community. You're gonna make a scene. And if you treat your venue like it's a hotel room, charging by the hour, that is not building community.
No, that's greed.
It is, and that's why I hate to say it, but with some of these big concert companies that are having problems, I was really hoping this was going to be the death toll to them. Yeah?
You heard it here first, folks.
And you say this. I mean, you say that you know, and back to your point, it's like oh well, and I think about some of the people that would go out of work if these big concert companies went out of business. Well, you know what, man? If you can't find work in rock and roll after that, you probably really don't love it, because that's why we're all in here. We're all in it for the love of it. You know, it's not about the paycheck. You know, the
Right.
paycheck comes later.
Right? If you're in it for the money, you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Totally.
That's actually a Nikki Sixx quote, I think.
Yeah.
For the next question, it is from our dear friend Kanak. Hello, Acey. I've got some distinct questions. What is your favorite childhood memory, and do you practice meditation? If yes, tell us about it, please. And what's your takeaway from Fuck You Fuel?
Favorite childhood memory would probably be, maybe seeing Alice Cooper the first time. Because we snuck that, like, that's when we were like, that was probably my second or third concert, and that's when I got a little more daring, and I saw people like jumping out of their seats and running down to the front, you know, and I was like, well, fuck that. If everybody else is, I am too. You know?
The rebellious stage.
Yeah. So probably going to see Alice Cooper might be one of them. That's not really childhood, though. Maybe seeing Star Wars.
Star Wars is that way for me, too.
Yeah, waiting in line to see Empire Strikes Back. I remember that really clearly. And then what was my takeaway from Fuck You Fuel? I got to be honest with you, I haven't dug into it yet. It's sitting right here. Right in front of me.
You're too busy for that shit, huh?
I've been reading the same book for months now, and I'm embarrassed because my friend wrote it, and I should be done it by now, you know. And I do. It's like I read 2 pages a day, and it's not like it's War and Peace, but
right now I've been reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's a good book.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you've ever checked it out or not, but it's by Mark Mason.
I gotta check. I know the book, but I haven't picked it up because I feel like I'm pretty good at not giving a fuck already. But
do you practice meditation, or do you not give a fuck enough to meditate?
No, right now I am not, which is funny. I was asked that because I really need to get back into it more. You know, there's studies have shown that you know that you can kind of reset your brain. I mean, speaking in broad stroke terms, and I'm not a doctor, but you know, it's like the brain that we have was programmed to survive, right? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like the OS that we have is a caveman's OS. So that's why we react really strongly to things that maybe we shouldn't. Through meditation, you can kind of help install this new OS, and you can sort of have a little more control over your thought process. We got these monkey brains where it's like, especially now where it's like you've got like right now in my room, I've got my phone, I've got my desktop, and I've got my laptop back there, and they're all like letting me have notifications on different things. And that breaks my concentration every time. It diverts my attention every time. And 10 minutes of meditation will really help with that a day, you know. I've
been meditating, so it does help.
Yeah. It's awesome. I was up at one point. I was doing about 35 minutes at a stretch, and it was awesome. When I was playing with Joan Jett, we flew everywhere, and so I had a lot of time to, because Wi-Fi on planes still sucks now as it is. So I would download my meditation app before we'd take off. I'd hit 35 minutes meditation. Man, I was crushing it.
That's badass, bro. So that brings us to our next question. I'm sure I already know the answer to this since you do own a coffee company, but Federock wants to know what your favorite drink is.
Well, that would definitely be coffee. Hands down.
What kind of coffee is your favorite?
Ooh. Depends on the day, but generally speaking, Artura Satana coffee is probably my favorite. But our Highlander grog coffee is the one that everybody goes cat shit over right now, and I like that a lot too. But as far as an all-day drinker, I'd have to say Artura Satana.
I like the espresso.
You like the espresso, Greg?
Yeah, I'm more of an espresso guy.
Nice. I haven't had it yet.
Thank you.
So, Joe Bashir, going back to the United Kingdom, have you ever gone down the Witch's Tunnel?
I have not, because I did not want to shat myself.
When was the last time you shat yourself?
Well, I was on the elliptical the other day, and I thought I sharded. Fortunately, I didn't though.
You had a little chocolate shart.
I thought I did. I thought there was gonna be a little rose petal in my underwear, but there was not.
I'm very proud of you. You didn't end up with a cocoa pebble.
Exactly. Exactly.
So my buddy Marcus Miller would like to know: does Dope have any new music in the works?
Yeah, Etzel's working on Blood Money Part 2. I think it's gonna come out pretty soon. I mean, he's had it done for a while, and I think that he just wanted to wait, due to the pandemic, give it some time and release it at a time where he can tour more. But I don't think that Dope's going to tour properly until next year.
Mm-hmm. So Kingo would like to know what qualities besides musical skills make someone a great musician.
Oh, well, what qualities besides musical skills make someone a great musician? A good ear. That's really, really important. Develop a good ear for things being in tune or out of tune, or when something's good or when something's not. There's I never realized how important that was to me. I've been working on one project, and there was one song that the artist had, and I was like, that's a fucking cool song. And he was like, I don't know. I'm like, no, trust me, this is good. And I was really persistent on it. He ended up working on it more, and now he's like, dude, you heard it. It was a good song. And then also with another thing that I've been working on, I'm doing a lot of backing vocals, and there's no pitch correction on it. There's no Melodyne, no auto tune. And man, I say this with a lot of gratitude. I didn't realize how good my ears were for harmony and hearing notes that are in or out. And until I was in that situation, because we've all kind of gotten lazy, where it's like you do the takes, and you find the one that's like good enough. They're going to run it through Melodyne, and you don't really have to listen back as much because you're listening a little bit more for the attitude or for the attack or whatever. And whether it's in tune or out of tune, well, we'll fix it in post. And I didn't realize like how good my ears were on that, and I that made me feel really good. So I say that humbly,
It's always nice to know that you are able to sing when you didn't know you could.
Oh, I always known I could sing. I just didn't know that I could really hear when it was in or out, because it was a lot of stacked harmonies, and I was harmonizing with myself, and I was really happy that I could hear like when I was in and out. And I guess part of it too is not taking things personally. That's a really good skill. It's hard. It's really weird. Like with vocals, I cannot take things personally. Like if someone's like, nah, it's a little out. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me do it again. Nah, it's still out. Okay, let's do it again. I'll spend all freaking day doing vocals. With guitar, I'm not or bass, it's funny, I'm not quite as humble. I get frustrated more easily. So
ego is a big problem with some musicians that turn a lot of people off. So lack of ego would also tie into that.
For sure.
So Naomi, who is in charge of the comments right now, asked, during the last year, what have you been working on, and have you taken up any new hobbies?
I have all I've been doing is going at it with Catfight Coffee, and there's like 3 projects that I've been involved in that I can't talk about.
We'll have to bring you back. We'll have to bring you back on when you can talk about it.
I know. I've been working on at least 3 different things that I can't talk about, and it's so frustrating because that's exactly what I'm talking about. We're like at the light at the end of the tunnel, and everyone's like, "Well, dude," like everybody's like, "Oh, during quarantine, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that," and I just got to sit there and go, "Yeah, can't tell you what I did."
Can't tell you what I did, but I promise I was doing something.
I know. But I started my Patreon, and my Patreon, I got to tell you, man, I'll be completely honest with you. I started my Patreon in large part because I needed to find another way to make money, And that's also been another thing with all these projects that I've been working on, is that nobody gets paid until they're turned in and they're starting to generate revenue. So it's like I've been working my ass off on stuff for the end of this year, and 2022, but I can't pay my bills on those things, unfortunately. So I did start my Patreon as a way of getting some income. And man, I had no idea how much I would love doing it. And I'm really glad that that's the case. I'm really glad that it wasn't like, okay, well, I got to do this thing. All right, like, let me begrudgingly do it. I love doing it. I didn't realize how much I missed hanging out with people. Ask anybody who comes to see me, and I'm usually at the merch booth after the show hanging out. I'm not one of these people that usually hides away on a tour bus or anything like that. I'm usually very accessible. And the Patreon has been a way to reestablish that and get back to hanging out at the merch booth and talking shit, talking about bands and all those things that we love, and Rob Zombie movies and whatever. So, yeah. So I guess my Patreon, I haven't been doing much photography, which is a bummer, but I am planning a weekend, probably first weekend of June, to take off and just do photography and just kind of do nothing. I need a weekend off. So
that's totally understandable. This whole pandemic has challenged our creativity and ways to make things work that don't work right now, if that makes any sense. Like you said, talking to fans and stuff, you can't do that at shows anymore, but you can find other ways to do it. Yeah. So Funky would like to know, what is your favorite onstage memory? We know your favorite offstage memory. Two people fucking. What's your favorite onstage memory?
I mean, definitely having a sold out, nearly sold out. It wasn't sold out, but a nearly sold out Wells Fargo arena on my birthday, having everybody sing me happy birthday, and then we get done and 1, 2, 3, 4, let's see. All right, next song, Bullet. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, boom, and that's like one of my favorite songs too. So that absolutely, hands down. And looking around and seeing my sister and my childhood friends that I was in a band with as a kid, and seeing them seeing them right there, and everybody singing me happy birthday. That was the best moment of my life.
That is incredible, having a whole arena singing happy birthday. What sucks though is I was at a show one time and people were singing happy birthday to someone on stage, and it came to their song and their name, and nobody knew the person's name.
Ooh, must have been a bass player.
It was the bassist. You know all about that, don't you?
I know.
But you're also a guitarist and a singer because you made up for it.
I guess so.
I'm
an entertainer.
You actually change your strings.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not a typical bass player.
So this is an interesting show that he did. He with Joan Jett. He did play on Jay Leno. Yeah. What was that? What was that like?
All those shows are pretty weird. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. It's a lot of like loading in at like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., early in the morning, and then you sound check like really early, like noon, and then you like go out to lunch and you wait around, and then all of a sudden it's time to do it, and you do one song, and then you like get done and leave. I don't know. They're strange.
That's always been weird to me on talk shows, because like you do all of that loading and shit, do one song, and then you have to unload again.
Yeah, and the other thing too is there's a lot of pressure because some of them are aired live. Mm-hmm. So you got to play it perfectly. You know, you got to play it right.
A lot of those talk shows make bands mime their performance.
Not the American ones, actually. All the ones that we did live.
A lot of the British ones, they do mimed, like Top of the Pops and shit like that.
Yeah, we didn't, with Murderdolls, we didn't mime on Top of the Pops.
Because I remember Iron Maiden many years ago was on one of them shows, and they were asked to mime, and they said, fuck that. So during the performance, they started switching instruments during a solo. And Iggy Pop did one time. They wanted him to mime, and he performed I'm Bored and fell asleep on stage. Like all kinds of crazy shit. Green Day was asked to mime, and they just stood there like this with no hands on the instruments. Like that's like Metallica. They want to play the Super Bowl, and they've been asked, but they don't want to mime because the Super Bowl makes you mime.
Oh yeah, forget it.
Fuck that.
Yeah, they make you play to a backing track, and it's just like Metallica's been playing the same shit for the past 30, almost 40 years now.
I think they've gone.
I think they know what they're doing.
That's like miming a performance. This ain't Paul Stanley. No. Anyway, did you hear about him coming out about that? He says that he's not miming his performance.
No.
Yeah, Paul. I love Kiss. This ain't no shitting on them, but Paul is not known for having the greatest vocals nowadays. And he will perform 2 nights and be perfect, like studio perfect. And people are like, he's miming, and he's keeps saying, I'm not. And this video came out where he's away from the microphone but still singing.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, oh shit, we got Milli Vanilli in the house.
Oh boy.
You remember that shit, Milli Vanilli?
Of course.
That was fucking wild.
Yeah. And now nobody even really gives a fuck, which is kind of sad. Like back then, it ruined that band's career. I mean, that happens all the time now. Like, I mean, Mariah Carey just did it, I think, on New Year's Eve or like, and now people just kind of laugh and shrug it off, and they've accepted.
I think the issue with Milli Vanilli was it wasn't that they were lip syncing per se. It was that it wasn't even them on the tracks.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
They don't know who was on the tracks. Even today, they have no idea. Like,
I mean, it ain't going to ruin Kiss's career. What are they going to do? Retire?
They already are. What do you think of bands that do these farewell tours and then come back? Like Motley Crue just did it.
Yeah. Ozzy's done it a couple times.
Yeah.
Do you ever believe it?
I don't know. I think you should mean it. You know? I think and at the same time too, like, okay, so let's put it this way. If you're coming in back from a farewell tour, like if you're doing it again, even though you said you were doing a farewell tour, if you kind of go back on that, and if you just said, man, I just missed touring and I didn't know how badly I'd miss it, and I'm sorry, but I want to tour again, that is forgiving.
Right.
But it's kind of funny. I don't feel like you hear anybody really say that. It's like, look, if you're cashing in and doing a farewell tour to get everybody to dig deeper into their pockets and get everybody out of the woodwork who's like, oh, I've seen them a million times, but this will be the last time. Okay. When that tour is done, spend your money wisely. Don't go back and milk people again, you know? If you miss it, fucking, I can understand that, you know? Touring's hard, you know? It's not always the easiest thing. And you get older and you're like, you know what, man, I've had it with this shit. I'm tired, you know? And then all of a sudden 5 years go by and you're like, I miss being on tour. I can understand that. But if it's like, well, I ended up getting a divorce and having 2 more kids with my new 19-year-old wife and blah, blah, blah. So now we got to do another tour. You know.
Was that Rod Stewart you're talking about?
It's like touring's already hard, and that's why like Tom Araya from Slayer had to call it quits because he had to tour with a CPAP machine. He couldn't do it anymore.
When Ozzy retired the first time, he thought, and this is ironic, this is life being ironic. 20 years ago, Ozzy thought he had Parkinson's, but he didn't. That's why he did his farewell tour, because he thought he was dying. And then he came back, and then 20 years later, he was actually diagnosed with Parkinson's. I'm like, that's fucking weird. Well, Deep Purple's on their farewell tour. They have been for 15 years. Did you know that, Acey?
No.
They're on their long goodbye tour. They said, well, we decided to announce our farewell tour, but we'll just call it quits whenever. They just keep adding new legs and new opening bands and shit until they're done. And
new albums.
Yeah.
Wow.
They've released 4 new albums since their farewell tour. So, Acey, is there anything that you wanted to touch on before we wrap this up?
Nah, I think I'm good. I'm just really grateful to everybody. Jackie wants to know what's my favorite song to sing. Do you mean my favorite song to sing of mine that I've written? Of mine that I've written, probably "Allergic to You" by Trashlight Vision. Yeah, that one I loved singing. "Dead Waves on the Air" was another good one. There's a couple songs on the Valentine's for Sick Minds record that I really liked singing. But if it's another band, I love singing Cheap Trick. I love singing Cheap Trick, and it's really a weird thing. I was never a Beatles fan at all. Never. In fact, I disliked the Beatles a lot. but through listening to enough Cheap Trick, I've now come around to the Beatles a bit. And I like singing to the Beatles just because there's so many harmonies in there. Like the main melody is in such a place that you can go to a high harmony or a low harmony, and I feel like it's just a way to kind of be creative and sing the songs. And I think my fuck up with the Beatles too is I think I just decided one day I'm gonna like the Beatles, and I got like one of their more psychedelic records, whatever record it is that has that Buffalo Bill song. God, that song's so terrible.
I forget what album that was. I don't know the albums when it comes to the Beatles. I just know the songs.
The White Album or something. I'm not sure, and I still don't know the albums, but I know that when I put them on Spotify Shuffle, I like singing along to the Beatles. So
that reminds me of like Spinal. That reminded me of Spinal Tap. How much blacker can this album get? Did you see where Spinal Tap called out Metallica for that?
Yes, and they damn well should have.
Yeah, they. I don't know if you've seen this or not, Greg, but the Spinal Tap showed up at a Metallica show backstage, and he's like, "Oh, Black Album, where'd you come up with that at?" And then they like cornered them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, if our album would have had Metallica's name on it, it would have sold more copies too." Folks, we have Acey Slade here. If you enjoyed the show, hit subscribe, follow Acey on all social media, and check out Catfight Coffee because it is the best coffee right now going, as Acey says, because he's very confident in his coffee, and he should be because it is delicious.
Thank you.
And it's not shit. It's not.
No.
It's not shit. Acey, it was nice having you on. We should have you on again sometime when you can actually talk about things that you're working.
It's driving me insane. It gives me a migraine headache.
You're doing all these podcasts, and you're like, I can't talk about nothing. So
hopefully in a month,
Well, we'll bring you back in about 2 months
or 2. Yeah, this fall definitely. So cool.
It was nice talking to you, Acey.
Yeah. And then it's funny. It'll be great because then everybody like who's in my Patreon, when it's like when I have to shift dates on things and stuff like that, and then I can't talk about it, I feel so bad because it's like, studio sessions get moved and everything gets moved, and I can't talk about any of them. So when I'll have to be like, yeah, guys, sorry I was late, and it's like, man, I don't want people to think that I was just like out, picking out coffee beans out of cat poop, like eventually all of it will make sense. Like when people are like, wow, like Acey was really quiet during 2020 and 2021. When I'm able to talk about it all, then everybody will go like, oh shit, that's what he was working on. So
that's why. Do you think cat shit coffee is so expensive because of the labor? Is that what it is?
Yeah. They got to pay somebody to sift through it,
That's just a new level of lazy. They're like, I don't want to peel the cherry, so I'm just gonna
feed them to the civet.
But it was nice talking to you, Acey. Thank you for joining us. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you guys so much. It was a good time.
It was a lot of fun. It was nice talking about cat shit and sex and all the things we normally talk about. You said we're a rock show, but we're just a fucked up show that talks about anything. That's
awesome.
It was nice talking to you. Welcome to Pink Sock. You got your dose. You'll be on again. You need to come out with a pink coffee though. That's
all right.
Remember, everyone, live long, rock hard, and buy Catfight now.
Thank you, Adam.
We know where you live.
Thank you, brother. Awesome. You guys rock.
Rock and roll.